Hello and welcome to the Toy Lords of Chinatown update episode entitled The History of Toy Lords. I'm coming to you from my toilet closet because my normal lecturing spot is next to the window and they're doing mad fucking construction and I haven't had a fucking decent night's sleep for fucking months because of all the goddamn jackhammering. But the show must go on, so I'm going to give you the history. Toy Lords. This month I spent a lot of time writing scripts and developing and filling in sort of all the unshot material, and we had a shoot scheduled for today with Baron Dark Owl, but unfortunately the weather prevented it and it got canceled and I'm leaving for Asia in a couple days, so there's just no way to pick that shit up. So the development is not worthy of an entire installment of this series, so I'm going to do as I promised and release some archival material exclusively here on Patreon. I was able to rescue my original drive, which had all my first video efforts. It was not cheap, but I was able to get the data back, and it's transferring as we speak, and I'm going to start to parse out some of that old original Villain Network material as a supplement when the behind-the-scenes episode is somewhat lacking. What I'm going to do here is just for your listening entertainment is give you a history of where Toy Lords of Chinatown came from in the grand scheme of the Suckadelic operation. As you know, the Sucklord has been costuming and cosplaying and dressing in masks and characters since the conception of Star Wars breakbeats, and that tradition continued. And around late 2005, very early 2006, this new website called YouTube came out, and it was the beginning of the tube video revolution, and it was suddenly very easy to just have your videos posted online and seen by millions. And I was like, I have to get on this. It's important that Suckadelic have a channel, and we need to create some content for that. And what happened there was a couple of realizations. Is that if I was going to make a video series about Suckadelic, I couldn't really have the Sucklord with the Boba Fett mask be the main protagonist, because A, you can't see his face, and it's the range of acting and emoting, and speaking dialogue is limited. You just can't have a main character, at least in my estimation, with his fucking face covered. So, and furthermore, I was really on this kick that I really thought at the time that these movies were just going to blow up and we were going to become instantly famous and get a television program immediately because of it. What a fool I was. And I was like, well, I can't really lead with a Star Wars infringement. We need an original character. So I threw in with my friends the Crystal Pharaoh, who I had been DJing with, as Darth Vader, and he had the black flocked Darth Vader helmet, and Quick Beam from the Lord of the Rings hip-hop group that I was in, and we made new characters for them. We made Baron Dark Owl for Quick Beam, was also known as Burt Banger, and we turned Crystal Pharaoh into the Egyptian Darth Vader that you see today. And I needed a character for myself, and I was bereft of ideas. So I just went to the Halloween store and just bought an Iron Man mask and just customized it until it came out looking like a fucking purple cockroach, and that became Vector. And it was just undeveloped, and I had no concept for him at all, and he wound up just being me with a mask, and that was that. But we were straining to come up with a name for this new project because they didn't want to call it Suckadelic because it was supposed to be collaborative. Okay, fine, I get it. And we were trying to do something original. We weren't trying to just sample Star Wars. And I wanted it to be specifically about supervillains. I had already come up with the concept ages ago that in all my stories there are no heroes. It's all just varying degrees of bad guys fighting each other, and that's evidenced in the Supervillain record I put out in 2005. And I wanted to continue that into the video story, so we were making something about villains, and we wanted to make something original, and we just couldn't come up with a fucking name for it. And just randomly one day I was searching for villains on YouTube, looking for just what other names might also be out there, and I stumbled upon an old Alphabets cereal commercial where it was like when the Super Friends were like sort of the mascots for Post cereal at the time, and they had a contest, design a villain. They had a little thing on the back where you could draw your own character and send it in, and the one that won would become animated in one of their commercials. So they said, you know, draw something, come up with your own thing. And then this weird generic lizard man that Superman was about to destroy said,
"The most original villains win."
And I was like, oh, original villains, why the fuck didn't I think of that? And so we called it that. And then, because it was going to be a television channel, I had this meta idea that it wouldn't just be movies about supervillains, it would be supervillains making movies about themselves, and you couldn't really tell, was this one of their movies, or is this a documentary, is this a behind the scenes? And I wanted to really blur the lines between what was real and fake, so we called it the Original Villain Network, OVN. And we set about making some films, and like a fucking stupid idiot, I really thought that we could just put the mask on and turn the camera on and just improvise, and we'd have solid gold material. And that, that proved to be untrue. And we put it out anyway. Oh my god. Yeah, I made some trailers without even having any real videos to show. We just shot a bunch of miscellaneous shit, and it all looked cool, threw it together in a trailer, and then made a second trailer, and then people were like, where's the show? And then started just putting out this fucking half-ass shit, and people were like, fuck you, and almost nobody watched it. And none of these videos exist anywhere right now, because at the time there was a competitor to YouTube called Rever, and they actually innovated the pay-per-view model. They tacked an ad on somewhere to your video, and you get a couple of cents if someone watched the ad or clicked on the ad. So I was like, well, let's do that. You know, fuck YouTube, it doesn't pay. Let's put it all on Rever. And that's what I did for like the first year of this project. All the videos went there, and then for some reason they went out of business, or I finally decided that YouTube really started becoming a phenomenon, so I just decided to focus on that and ignored the Rever shit because I didn't make a goddamn cent off any of those fucking videos. And then I forgot about them, and then they went out of business. And all those original videos don't exist online anymore, so I'm going to just parse them out as Patreon exclusives, as I said, to fill in the gap. So that's how it started. And then in the next episode of this history, I'll explain what happened next. But the original conception of this, it was going to be 6 characters, 3 guys and 3 girls. It was Vectar, Baron Dark Owl, Crystal Pharaoh, and then the girls were Mary Papers, Crimson Suicide, who's Misery, and Spooky Booty, who was portrayed by my girlfriend at the time. And I was in the mind to just grab whoever I knew, slap a mask on them, put them in some fucking situation, turn the camera on, say go, and just do something and whatever. You know, we got what we got, and the idea that the Sucklord was going to be in this, but he would be more on the periphery of everything because I didn't want to focus on him. So that's what happened, and how this turns into Toy Lords of Chinatown, well, you're just going to have to watch the next episode and see. But check out the 2 trailers, and I'll see you next month with hopefully something juicy.